What's happening, everybody? Jeff Lightsy Jr. here with the Black Boss Channel. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell because we upload all the time. Now, if you're rooting for a team or having a hard time choosing a team to root for, Super Bowl Sunday. So the Super Bowl is this Sunday, and it'll be the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the Buccaneers are a team that's very interesting. Beside the fact that they have Tom Brady, a 43-year-old, six-time champion, going for his seventh Super Bowl. I mean, that in itself is a hell of an accomplishment. But if you're looking for a team to root for and you're black, Tampa Bay might be the team for you. And here's why. Bruce Arians is the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bruce Arians is like a 60-year-old white dude who's been in the NFL for like 3 decades, right? He's been coaching the NFL at some capacity for over 30 years. But he is someone who is uniquely different. He has a great, like, every major position on his coaching staff is filled by a black man. That is something that no one else, I don't think, in the history of the NFL, but definitely not in the current NFL can say. No one can say that. And there's black head coaches that can't even say that. And that is quite amazing. And they're playing in the Super Bowl and they have a chance to win. And what do I mean by majority, like head top assistants are black? Let me go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers official website. So, like I said, this is Bruce Arians, and we can look at his bio. He's the head coach. Now, we go down to coaching staff. We have Harold Goodwin, who was the assistant head coach and the running game coordinator, major assistant. Todd Bowles is the defense coordinator, major assistant. Byron Leftwich is the offensive coordinator, major assistant. And the last major assistant is the special teams coordinator, Keith Armstrong. Now, what's so significant about having black men in these major assistant coaching roles is because when you have success like the Bucs are having, it normally leads to head coaching jobs, right? When you have four black men, because we've seen head coaches be hired from damn position coaches, but especially when you have four black men as assistant head coaches or coordinators, whether it's special teams, defense, or offense, that should lead to getting a head coaching job in the NFL. And we know that the NFL has had a history of not hiring black men to run their organizations. And I know we talk about, self-owned, self-made league, get your own league and stuff like that. And that is something that still should probably take place. But if these people want to participate in this league, then I guess it's okay. It's cool to see that they have a spot or potential to be eventually get promoted and become head coaches, because we know it's disproportionate that there's not enough black head coaches for a league that's 75% black, right? Like we know that. So to go along with that, Byron Leftwich. So we know the NFL is like a copycat league, and a lot of these teams are hiring coaches on the offensive side of the ball because the quarterbacks get paid so much money. The quarterbacks mean so much to a team. So they try to hire a guy that can best get along with the quarterback. And we see when the relationship between the quarterback and the head coach isn't good, the team normally isn't good, right? The team normally falls apart. We've seen the countless examples, and most recently with the Philadelphia Eagles and even with the LA Rams. They shipped their quarterback out of town. The Eagles head coach got fired because he didn't get along with the quarterback. He couldn't, and they brought in a coach to helpfully fix the quarterback. So with that being said, Byron Leftwich, who is the young black offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, wasn't even interviewed for any head coaching jobs. His team's in the Super Bowl. His team is in the freaking Super Bowl. Same with Eric Bieniemy, the black offensive coordinator over with the Kansas City Chiefs. He got interviewed, but for the second straight year, his team might win the Super Bowl, and he might have the best offense. He had the best offense in the NFL, and his team with the best offense in the NFL might repeat as Super Bowl champions. He still didn't get a job. That's like unheard of, unfathomable, right? But that is what it is. You can say because he's black or whatever. They say you don't interview well, BS, whatever. It's the NFL. That's how it works. But Bruce Arians was asked about Byron, right? He was like, Byron, you guys had a really good offense this year. You guys are in the Super Bowl. Like, what are your thoughts on Byron, your offense coordinator, and Eric Bieniemy, the Chiefs offensive coordinator, not getting – Bieniemy got some interviews, but not really getting a chance to be a head coach for any other NFL team. And here's what Bruce Arians had to say as far as his diverse staff, big time assistants that are all black, and Byron not getting any looks from other teams. And here's Bruce Arians when he was asked the question. Make the screen large and let's rock.
Frustrate you when a guy like Byron do not, get an interview and Eric Bieniemy is still, not getting the job and Tell me just the reason behind your intentionality of having a diverse staff.
Well, they're the best coaches I know. It starts with that. And, I was very, very pissed that Byron didn't at least get an interview this year for the job that he's done. I think I get way too much credit, and so does Tom Brady, for the job that Byron has done. And I think hopefully next year, people will see that he took Jameis Winston and broke every single record here, scoring and passing, and now Tom has broken both. So he's done a fantastic job. He's everything supposedly what people are looking for, although this year was kind of a defensive cycle. And you never know with the owners how they're going to go. So, I'm very, very proud of our staff.
So that's interesting. That's interesting because he said something really interesting there. It was the fact that he said that Byron doesn't get enough credit. He said that he and Tom Brady get way too much credit for what Byron does. And I think the same thing happens with Eric Bieniemy over in Kansas City. We know how great of a coach Andy Reid is for the Chiefs. We know how great of a player Patrick Mahomes is for the Chiefs. We know how great Tom Brady is for the Bucs. And we've got a pretty good knowing or understanding of how good of a coach Bruce Arians is. I mean, they're in the Super Bowl, and Bruce Arians coached Peyton Manning and Ben Roethlisberger and all these great quarterbacks. And so, but he's always gotten credit for that, right? Andy Reid's always gotten credit for being creative, play designer. His former players will just preach highly of him. But the same love isn't shown for Eric Bieniemy and for Byron Leftwich. Why? Well, I would say for Bieniemy, it's because he coaches under Andy Reid. A lot of people don't think he calls the plays. There's been numerous amount of NFL players that go on record on television and say, yes, he's actually the one calling the plays. And if you watch during the games, like obviously Andy Reid's the head coach. He gets the final say over everything, over what the defense does, over what the offense does. But if you watch during the games, you'll see Eric Bieniemy with this big old play sheet in front of him. He's got a mask on, but you can see his mouth chompering at the bit. It means he's talking. It means he's doing something, right? So the man ain't just standing there looking cute or whatever. Like, no, he's out there working. And the same goes for Byron Leftwich. Now, Byron Leftwich, I think, actually does, or everybody, acknowledges that he calls the plays. But since Tom Brady's been there, people say that Tom Brady runs the team. Well, I think Byron Leftwich is there to help a little bit, right? I think he's doing something. And so I just think it's interesting, and it's a revelation, and it's kind of cool to see two black OCs in the Super Bowl. One of them will win it, and eventually one of them will get a head coaching job because I think they both deserve it. I think they both deserve it, and they've shown it. But once again, this is Jeff Lightsy Jr. at the Black Boss Channel. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.